Hello, 8th level. I hope you're all doing well. As we said last week, that was Miss Moo's last week, so I am taking over the reins of 8th grade. So we have finished the Civil War. We're heading now into a time called Reconstruction. So when I was in school, I was always taught that Reconstruction was just a time that the South was built, and that's all my teachers ever told me. And we're going to learn these next couple of weeks that that is not just what Reconstruction was. Reconstruction, yes, it was just a rebuilding of the South that had been destroyed, typically by General Sherman, but Reconstruction was a whole lot more than just the rebuilding of the South by General Sherman after he burned it. So welcome to our Reconstruction era. So this is a facing history unit. I know that you are familiar with doing facing history units where we do a lot of reading, a lot of reflecting, watch some video clips, and really think about identity and think about case studies and things that have happened to other people, so that we can really try and make sure that those types of things don't happen again. So you've always heard about civil rights. You've heard about the civil rights that have happened in 1965, the Civil Rights Act of 1965. But guess what? There was also a Civil Rights Act that happened in 1865, and lots of things regarding civil rights that happened back then as a result of the end of the Civil War and as a result of Reconstruction. So we're going to go way back then and look at those things. So if you think about 1865 and the surrender at Appomattox, and we've had just this horrible war that has torn the country apart, and in fact, sometimes families have been torn apart, and we've even had families where some brothers have been fighting for the North and some brothers have been fighting for the South. And now this war is over. We've had the surrender. How do we bring this country back together? How do the southern states agree to come back to be part of the Union, where the southern states are brought back into the United States, and the forgiveness starts, and the country tries to come back together as a whole country and not harbor all of these really bad feelings. So that's where we're going to start today. Like, how do we do this? What are some of the first things that need to happen? So we have to begin in Washington, D.C., which is, of course, the capital of our country. Shortly after the surrender at Appomattox and the end of the Civil War, unfortunately, Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. He attended a play that night in Ford's Theater. He was up in the presidential box, which was up above the stage, enjoying the play, and John Wilkes Booth was able to get into the president's box. He got within 6 feet of Lincoln, was able to shoot him in the back of the head. From there, John Wilkes Booth jumped down to the stage. He broke his leg, but he was still able to get away. In fact, that night there had been a plot for 3 assassinations: Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Johnson, who was the vice president, as well as trying to get to the third person in line, who was the head of the Congress. Neither of the other assassinations worked. The person who was supposed to assassinate Johnson failed, and the person who was supposed to assassinate Stuart chickened out and didn't even try. So Abraham Lincoln died early the next morning at a home across the street. Sorry about that. And Johnson became president. So that's just a little bit of background. So we are doing a facing history lesson today. So the first thing you're going to do is an art analysis. So I have an engraving by Thomas Nash. It's actually 2 pictures that go together. So first you're going to look at the pictures, and before you even try to analyze it, I just have a series of questions I want you to answer. So kind of like, what do you see? What do you think what's happening here? Then I want you to really start taking the picture apart and try and analyze really what Thomas Nash is trying to say. When you're done with that picture, there is a video. It's kind of long. It's about 16 minutes. You're going to break it up into 2 parts. So watch the first 9 minutes, pause it at 9 minutes. There are some questions for you to answer there. It's kind of about what the Republican Party wanted. And then watch the second half of the video, and there's a second set of questions, okay? So today we're kind of looking at the politics of what happens now that Andrew Johnson is president and the war is over. How are we going to get through this? What needs to happen? What are the politics? And it's kind of what does Washington want to have happen now that the war is over? What do we need to do for the South? What do we need to do now that we've got all of these freed people? What are we doing for them? Are we giving them rights? Are we not giving them rights? What happens if we do? What happens if we don't? So that's kind of what today's lesson is all about. And then on Wednesday, we'll start looking about what's really happening in the South and how are we helping these people that are freed. But we have to start today with the politics to understand what people are thinking in Washington before we can look at what's happening in the South. So as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and let me know. So again, what you're doing today is first, you're going to look at those pictures, those 2 wood engravings by Thomas Nash, answer the questions for those. That's after you do the exit ticket. Number 2, you're going to watch the first 9 minutes of the video, answer the questions for that. Then you're going to watch the next 7 minutes of the video and answer the questions for that. Don't try and watch the whole video and answer all the questions at once. It's too much information. Do the first 9 minutes, questions, second 7 minutes, questions. So my video, exit ticket, Thomas Nash engraving, questions, first 9 minutes of the video, questions, next 7 minutes of the video, questions. Any questions that you have, let me know. As soon as I have grades from Miss Moo for your project, I will get those put into Power School. My other goal is to get the rest of your grades into Power School today. Otherwise, I will see you again on Wednesday. Please stay safe and let me know if you need anything else. Have a great day.